Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. It is Mike here once again. This is going to be a short video, I promise, but I am going to film one part now and I'm going to film another part in a couple of days because I have to gauge something. This video is about lemon drizzle cake. I will link up there and down there, or is it up there? I can never remember. I think it's up there. I'm going to link everywhere the previous videos in this series, in this little playlist. It is the hunt for the best gluten-free lemon drizzle cake. Let's try that again because I needed to swallow halfway through. This is the hunt for the best gluten-free lemon drizzle cake. That is a mouthful, but I got there, I think. Stumbled a little tiny bit, but it's all good. In the first video, I talked about the fact about why I'm on this hunt. The second video was the Mary Berry recipe that I've chosen to adapt to become gluten-free, but the first attempt was the recipe as it stands in the words of Mary Berry herself, followed to the T, and it's a lovely cake. This time round, this is the second time I've made the cake, I made it with gluten-free flour. And the only other thing I changed in the recipe was I put a tiny dribble of vanilla extract in. I don't know why I did it, it just... The moment took me and I put a little bit in with the lemon zest, and I think that it kind of mellows the cake slightly, not in a bad way, because lemon cake should be punchy and sour, but it's just there's a little bit of like smoothness going on. I think that's what the vanilla extract brings, a little bit of smoothness. It's cooked. Everything else is exactly the same. I followed the recipe in from the second video, which I'll link below. My initial reactions, because it's all finished, it's all cooled in its tray. Initial reactions are, it hasn't risen as much as the first cake did. So I don't know why that is. I'm wondering whether the self-raising gluten-free flour, well, it's just different flour, isn't it? It's got different raising agents. I don't know. I don't. It just makes a difference. So it isn't as big. But we could change that by using a different tin if we want it to be thicker or thinner. So that's okay. We've tasted a little bit. Jay's had a slice and I've had a little sliver because it's weigh day tomorrow. And I am very pleased with the texture. It doesn't taste dry. The original recipe just has you brushing the drizzle on the top and it forms like a kind of crusty, sugary layer. This time I poked holes through the cake with a strand of spaghetti, and so as I painted the drizzle on, I was hoping that some of the syrup was going to seep into the cake, which is quite the norm for lemon drizzle, and I think hopefully that has helped retain some moisture in the cake because gluten-free cakes do tend to be a bit dry. So I'm quite happy with it as of now. The only other difference that I noticed was the first cake, when I lifted it out of the tray using the baking paper, it was very soft and it folded in on itself and it kind of, not broke, but it was about to break, and I noticed that. But when I lifted this one out, it has remained quite solid, which is probably a good thing if it's going to be eventually used as a layer cake for a wedding or an event. So I'm quite pleased with that, but the real test is going to be tomorrow. I'm taking it to work. Jess is going to try it. She is the gluten-free queen, so she's going to try it and see what she thinks. And I am going to be very intrigued as to what the texture does the next day, because I think when you're talking about making a wedding cake specifically, you're making the cake ahead of time, and the cake has to last a little while, even though it will be covered in buttercream and stuff. It does have to. I don't want it to dry out too much as we go forward, if that makes sense. So, but otherwise, very, very happy with it. I can't wait to have a really, really big slice of it tomorrow after my weigh-in. Wish me luck, guys, for that too. And yeah, that's all I want to say for a minute. So I'm gonna film the second part of this video after a couple of days has passed. You're going to see time just whiz before you. I'm going a long way around, and I'll record the next part then and come back to you with any further thoughts before we move on to trial number 3. Hello guys, so this is me back for the second part of the video about the lemon drizzle cake. Just to say that I finally had a piece, and I really, really enjoyed it. I was impressed with the texture. It wasn't too dry, it wasn't crumbly, it held together really quite nicely. The poking of the holes I think worked a treat because the drizzle does run down into it. I'm considering trying that next time, but without using granulated sugar. I might use caster sugar, so I get a syrup that will go into the cake, and then maybe do like an icing on the top rather than doing that kind of crackly glaze. Maybe, we'll see. And but overall, I'm quite impressed with it. I'm chuffed. I'd make that, eat that again, gluten-free, no problem. So I have 2 more options that I'd like to try in the hunt for this, the greatest gluten-free lemon drizzle cake challenge. The first thing I want to try is the gluten-free flour that we just used, but I want to add some xanthan gum. Now I've heard that xanthan gum is really, really good at making gluten-free flours feel like gluten-full flours, so I'm going to try that. And then the other one I want to try is, I saw online somewhere somebody using brown rice flour, and apparently it gives you a very similar texture to normal gluten flour, so let's try that as well, using the same recipe for the lemon cake. But we're getting there, peeps. We are moving along this line, and soon we will have the ultimate gluten-free lemon drizzle cake recipe. Trust me. I'm now going to have a drink, and I'm going to hand you over to Jess, who, as I've mentioned before, is the queen of gluten-free, and she's going to tell you what she thought about her slice of gluten-free lemon drizzle cake. Jess, over to you.
Alright, ready?
Go on.
It's a bit crumbly. Oh, but what do you say? I absolutely love it.
Tell me what you think.
This is now my 3rd piece of lemon cake today. And what's funny is I'm going to eat it. This was supposed to be for tonight. This isn't 2 pieces, this is 1 piece.
That is huge, Jess. I'm not gonna lie.
You cut it.
I did, but I thought you cut it again.
Nope.
Nope.
Never.
So,
Yeah,
to talk about the texture, you prefer the gluten-free.
Feels more like a cake.
Okay.
Like, I like the cake. For you who don't know me, I'm not very good with my words. Can we do this late? I'm not as good as you. Oh, I'm ashamed of myself.
So you didn't know? I'm sorry
The
to
only
hear
thing
it.
that makes me happy. No, I genuinely like this. I prefer it to the first one. Not gonna lie, it's more lemony.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's like sharp.
Sharp.
I prefer it. The other one, there's nothing wrong with it, but I'm eating more of this.
So I stopped eating it. So are you going to weigh tomorrow for Swimming World?
I'm really skinny. I don't need to go. Hit my target. Oh, stop bringing me cake. You know,